Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the retirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Tom Matt Show. Another Performance Living episode, the new Performance Living. This one's going to be Performance Living Orthopedics with my brother from another mother. I got several of these brothers from other mothers. Doc Mike Shingles, King. Known him for 25 years. Worked on me. Full disclosure, Mike's cut me. He's fixed me. Treated me. Been a pal to me. We've watched lots of football games together, and we're going to continue to do lots of good things together. But last week, Angela Joseph was here, and we talked about lymphatic detox. She brought Angela Joseph, that's all I got to say is Angela Joseph, she brings the heat every time she comes in. And she's pretty passionate about this lymphatic detox, and that's an excellent episode, as they all are, I like to think. All right, so with Doc Mike Shingles, there's something I'm going to ask him here in a second, because I just realized this, as long as I've known Mike and got his bio here, I'm going to ask him a question about his undergrad. But Doc Mike Shingles, DO, received his undergraduate degree from the University of Michigan, which I'm going to ask him about in a second here, and his medical degree from Michigan State University, go green, College of Osteopathic Medicine, completed a fellowship orthopedic sports medicine at Michigan State University under the direction of Dr. Herbert Ross, who was my doctor for my shoulder like so long ago, I can't even remember it, tell you the truth. He's with the Sparrow Health System as an orthopedic surgeon. Dr. Shingles is a board certified and serves as a team orthopedic surgeon for many different schools, many different things that she's out there doing and helping people all over the place. He's also the team doc. Are you still team doctor for East Lansing?
Yeah, I'm team orthopedic surgeon or team doc. Mike and I still cover East Lansing and Okemos, even though Mike's still at Michigan State and I'm here at Sparrow now.
Cool. Well, they've done well this year. He operates out of Sparrow Health System, big hospital here in Michigan. Highly recommend it. Great hospital. Very, very good. And without much further ado, I want to get caught up. You know how we run this thing, everybody. Mike sent over some really good topics for us to talk about with this performance living on the orthopedic side of things. I want to welcome back to my program my buddy, Doc Mike Shingles. Mike, thank you so much for joining me today, brother.
Fun to be on your show.
Yeah, it's just always good to see you, man, and talk about tech. Before we go there, though, you got to talk about Zach, Josh, Connor, Stacy, the whole crew. And how's everybody doing?
Everyone's doing great. It's been a transition from the university to hospital employed, although technically we're part of a different university, which is sort of ironic, but another good school that we're good vision for medicine. But get a lot of weekends open, and it took me a while to adjust to not working 80, 90 hours a week, which I probably would have done for my whole life under different circumstances. But, sometimes you realize you get to that other side, you're like, having weekends and evenings with your families is something you can't replace. And so even though I was willing to do that grind and I enjoyed it, I think my family enjoyed it while we were there. It's still, it's just now settling into this new life, which is great. I've got to spend a lot of time with my older children now because they're all Spartans. They all went to Michigan State and graduated from Michigan State. And Connor's a freshman and is hoping to go to medical school. He'll be the one that goes down that path, it looks like, which is fine. They all find their own ways, and I think he'll be good in that path. And so he's excited, and he's very interested in going to my alma mater, which is College of Osteopathic Medicine, which I used to teach at for years and thinks a great institution. And then you got Josh is signed up for National Guard, ROTC through Spartans, through MSU, and he's done a ton of the color guards. It's like I'm no longer in the court, but the guys in the court presenting the flags at football games and hockey games. And it's so excited to see him down there. He enjoys the color guard and is just wants to serve, and he's going to do National Guard. And then I think he's going to go potentially, he's leaning towards state police for Josh. And then Zachary is, his birthday's tomorrow, 28, my oldest. And he still works on virtual reality tech and online stuff, building virtual reality worlds for that new technology that continues to grow.
Unbelievable. That's so great. What about Stacy?
Stacy is keeping it all together and getting used to me being home more hours, which
how's that working
she
out?
enjoys. It actually worked out pretty good. And then, of course, we're getting up north this time of year. We go up to Agre. Last time I think we talked, I think I was in Agre possibly, but we're settling into our cottage up there.
How's the renovation of the cottage? Is that underway? Is it done, or how far along is it?
It's almost done. It's pretty much done, but there's a couple little things like always. But we love it. It's where we'll spend most of our time in retirement, and as much time as we can before retirement because it's not too far away.
Well, that's the thing. I'm going to correct you real quick here, man. You know that I'm the retirement guy, so there's no retire in your future. You're going to just bounce right into retirement because that's what everybody needs to think about, and that's why it's so important to have friends like you and doctors like you to help us in the retirement zone. Because for me, when I turn 65 here in another few months, I still say I got 35 more good ones to go. But you got to take care of business. And so it's like, and you know me, I've been like on my game for quite a while because I was so bad when I was younger that it's like, well, I'm very grateful for just basically being alive, to tell you the truth. So it's like, that's the whole thing, everybody. We're going to talk about this with Doc Mike, Performance Living Orthopedics. The question I had for you about your bio is, I don't think I've ever asked you this before. How was your undergraduate time at the University of Michigan?
Well, it was great. Got a great education there, got me the skills I needed to get into med school, where I met my wife, made a lot of good friends there. And yeah, at one point it's a secret thing of I was a pretty big Michigan fan, when I was there, of course, and then moving to Michigan State and doing med school there, still probably a Michigan fan at that point. But, it was my fellowship year after residency where I had the opportunity to come back to Michigan State where I, of course, fell in love with the Spartans and then working there. It's funny how it's, you become so loyal to your team and your own, that I was not a Michigan fan for many years. Now, ironically, after we moved to Sparrow, within like 6 months, there was an announcement that University of Michigan was buying the system. And I'll be honest, I had some mixed feelings about it because it's how's that going to work in East Lansing? But Michigan Health is an incredible institution. They've got a great hospital. They've got great docs. They've been nothing but wonderful. And fortunately or unfortunately, we're going to have 3 or 4 major players in medicine as far as, running in the state of Michigan and other states. And Michigan will be one of those players. And their mission is very similar to, the same mission we had at Michigan State and the same mission that as a doc, I think is important, which is quality and providing health care for all the people in Michigan, and frankly, from all over the world, if they want, to come back here to Michigan. Absolutely.
I'm going to carry this through, Mike, because we're going to come up on break here in a second. Let me reset this for you guys, everybody. You're going to want to stick around for this one. As a growing older population, as we all are, I don't care if you're 30 years old or if you're 50 or if you're my age, it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to go through change, and you have to modify your life to fit what's happening at that point in your life instead of going in with the mindset of, well, I used to be able to bench 225. Now, at this point for me, I could care less about that kind of stuff. That's where we need to think about these things because as a trainer, I'm very, very aware of overuse injuries because I've had a ton of them myself from my own lack of just being on top of my game. And so I'm trying to help people avoid the overuse injuries because those will set you back worse than anything. I mean, you're going to have potentially little things that might come up with accidents and things like that, but overuse injuries can be avoided. And those are the types of things that we need to really stay on top of our game. And as we grow older, we just got to modify things. And as Mike has taught me, manage it. Okay, so we're going to talk about living with joint pain, putting off total joint replacement, biologic technology, and I'm going to share some info about the DEXA scan I had done a few months ago with Mike. Again, our guest today, my brother from another mother. It's all so good to see my bro, Doc Mike Shingles from Sparrow Health System. Performance Living, Orthopedics. This is The Tom Matt Show.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by the Source of Light and Power by band leader Archival and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com. This is The Tom Matt Show.
The second segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Ameriprise Financial. Craig Stiles. Craig. He's our man. He's got Destiny Analytics, and that's the plan, and that's why you want to go see Craig. Again, full disclosure, just like with my guest today, Doc Mike Shingles, we utilize the services of our sponsors. We believe in the people that come on this radio program, and Craig Stiles has been the leader for a long time, one of the best people you ever want to meet in your life. Your Ameriprise financial advisor and ours, again, full disclosure, all of our retirement zone money is with Craig, and you know what? Doing pretty good, so I don't even think about it. I mean, it's like, I got other things to think about. I don't worry about that financial stuff. That stuff's for like people like Craig, smart guys like him. Craig can help you plan for the life you want today and well into the future. Keep that in mind. Call Craig at 1-800-528-1355. Local number is 517-483-4893. Craig.stiles@ampf.com. Offices are located 2400 Lake Lansing Road. Suite B is in Brilliant. And again, reminding everybody that if you're somewhere else in the country, you're listening to this podcast, you want to get in with Sparrow and you're in California, it's like, well, we can do all of that. You can contact us through our website, tommattshow.com, where you can find all of our sponsors and all of the podcasts and all of our video stuff and all of our social media and all that stuff is all over there. But check it out, go there, and let's get busy, all right? Stations that have carried us in the past, in the future, all of these things. WGHN 92.1, Grand Haven, Michigan carried us. First on broadcast radio, love saying their call letters. WJIM 1240 AM in Lansing, Michigan, the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network. Thank you to Steve and Ivy Gruber for carrying us for the last, I don't even know, 5, 6 years, 7 years on syndication. It's part of the Michigan Talk Network. WYPV FM 94.5, another station in the Michigan Talk Network. There are many stations, at least 50 stations in the Michigan Talk Network. We're not on all of them, but we're on a bunch of them. And, of course, the big stick at Michigan State University, WKAR AM 870 News Talk in East Lansing. 102.3 FM is the simulcast. You can get that at Sundays at 5 o'clock. Again, thanking Craig Stiles for creating Destiny Analytics, where we are making light of weighted decisions. That's his proprietary algorithm, puts him over the top and makes his analytics work so perfectly. All right. Looking forward to this show because selfishly, I like talking to Dr. Mike because Dr. Mike is he's my personal physician as far as orthopedics. He's helped many thousands of people in the mid-Michigan area, all over the country. And as active as I am living with a little bit of joint pain. Full disclosure again, it's fine. I mean, it's because I'm an active guy, and I'm actually grateful. I was telling somebody this today earlier, Mike, that a lot of guys, you know, our age, I'm a little bit older than you, but a lot of guys will have knee problems, joint issues from their 20s and up. I didn't start experiencing any knee issues until like in my mid 50s. So I think that's pretty good. I mean, it's like, well, you know, but being an active guy, you're going to have mileage, right? It's like you talked about with arthritis and that analogy you use with the tire. I know I ask you this just about every time you come on, but if you just throw that out there about the arthritis and we can set this thing up with living with joint pain, what is that snapshot definition that you use about the tires?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's real easy for people to understand. It's like your joints have cartilage in it, and if you think of it like treads on your tires for your hips and your knees, your ankle, but you know, knees especially take a beating, and you get part of it's genetics, how good your tires you inherited, because you don't get to pick that out, and some wear quicker, some don't, but eventually you're going to wear the tread off. As we're living active and healthier lives and living longer lives, we're all going to get it, you know, at some point if we live long enough. And so, like you said, it's learning how to manage with that, you know, before you have to replace a tire, and you can't replace with what you were given. You got to replace with what we have right now. That's a knee replacement, but that's where biologics become really interesting and other things, and called the search for the holy grail, which is what will fix a knee instead of, you know, treating the symptoms for the knee. How can we rebuild the cartilage? Can we get to that point?
Well, you just brought up one of our talking points, so let's just go there right now. That was a good segue into the biologic technology. I looked this stuff up here as I was waiting and doing a little research for this episode, and it's like, wow, this stuff seems amazing. And the technologies that we have out now, Mike, between all of the robotics and all of the, I mean, Sandy just had a DNA sample done so she could check for some medication. And the medication that was prescribed to her, she didn't start taking it until she got the report back. Guess what? It was in the red zone of the DNA. And so we took that back to the physician, and the physician changed the prescription. So that's just one minor little tiny example of what people need to be aware of. It's like, this is important stuff, and you need to be on top of this. The biologic technology, start at square one, and I'll cut you off when we get to the end of the break here. We got a couple of minutes to go, but let's start with that one. I think that's very important for people to understand. Go ahead. What is it?
So, I call it the search for the Holy Grail as far as, forever, orthopedic surgeons have been trying to repair the body. And one thing we cannot repair or replace is articular cartilage, is the joint surface of all your joints. It's what allows your joints to glide like ice and ice. You've heard that term before. It's no friction, no pain is a perfect joint, right? You walk on that, you jump on that, you play on that, you get it injured. Over time, it gets beaten down a bit, and then there's different degrees of cartilage damage, but ultimately arthritis is loss of cartilage. And so bone-on-bone arthritis is like you're worn it all away, right? And then you can just scuffing of the cartilage, grade 1, or some damage, grade 2, a little bit more thickness involved, maybe up to 50%, grade 3, worse. And then, of course, grade 4 is down the bone. How can we repair that arthritis? To find that out will be a huge change in how we treat joints, but we don't know how to do that. And we've done, over the years, we've tried different things to do it, and they failed. When I say they failed, they help somewhat with pain and symptoms. That's all there. We're going to have, I'm surprised we don't use that more often, to be frank with you, but that's all there. Can we make cartilage? We can make cartilage. We can grow cartilage. We can take, bone marrow, and we can take cord, umbilical cord blood from when you're born. We can do all that, but we haven't figured out how to make it really work. And that's, you got to be a little careful right now, because there's a lot of money being spent on these biologics, because whoever figures this out is going to make a lot of money. And so there's a lot of advertisements and billions. This is the best product ever. This is the best. Come here, I'll inject this magic concoction in your knee. You're going to go cartilage. I want to make one thing clear. We can't do that. That's not true. We can't put a shot in your knee that's going to grow back cartilage. We can't do it. If we could do it, trust me, everyone would be doing it. And so, but that's still where the future is.
Leave that there, Mike, because I want to come back to this, and we're going to go right to break here in a second, everybody. Let me reset. Performance Living Orthopedics with Doc Mike Shingles of the Sparrow Health System, talking about biologic technology and other things as we come back to the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for listening. Newsflash. Tom and Sandy are both in the refirement zone. With that, everybody, I want to make a huge announcement about our social media outreach. I'm going to be doing a lot of video work. I've already started. Tom Matt Show. Go there. If you can't find it, you can go to the website, tommattshow.com. This is to enhance what we bring to you with the radio programming and the podcast. This was always the plan, to build up what we've been doing for all of these years, to make it better for you to find our work, and just tiny little tips. But you got to go to our social media, either on Facebook or Instagram. Either way, please find it. Go there. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you and love all of you so much. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you again to our Segment 2 sponsor, Craig Stiles of Ameriprise Financial. For more information on services provided by Craig, please visit ameripriseadvisors.com/craig.stiles or by calling 517-483-4893. You're tuned in to The Tom Matt Show.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Jamie, and Christine, White Law. White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. You need to check out Jamie's episodes. The first one was amazing. The second one was amazing. And I mean, just over the top, good stuff. Just crazy, interesting. Just so good. White Law is our advocate for times of need. We are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Here's the key thing here. You want to contact White Law today for your free consultation. Go to whitelawpllc.com. It's whitelawpllc.com, or call us 517-777-9785. They also sponsor the Mad Dog Minutes, which you can see on all of our YouTube channels. We have the Tom Matt Show YouTube channel, and you can get those little clips over there that David DeMarco does. And they're so interesting. They're very popular. And listen to Dave from Alabama coming in and just hooking everybody up. We're going to be having a nice little show with David and Roland Lazenby here coming up, the author of the Magic book and several other very, very good sports books. And I know that Jamie White loves this kind of stuff because he's a true blue. He is a green and white card-carrying Spartan twice over. And that's the whole thing. Again, whitelawpllc.com, 517-777-9785. Just remember, everybody, the easiest way is just go to our website. And at the bottom of the homepage, right there at the bottom of the homepage, past the podcast, are all of our sponsors and friends that we support because we want to help people get their messages out there. That's the way it rolls. Just click there and away you go. You're in like Flint. And let me tell you, White Law's website, probably one of the nicest websites I've ever seen. It's so interactive. It's easy to navigate. It's not like all filled up with lights and bubbles and all kinds of crazy stuff. All right, back to the show today with Doc Mike Shingles, Sparrow Health System, my buddy, my doc, operated on me, helped me many times. Performance Living Orthopedics. Performance Living is something, Mike, that came up with Tony Avellino. We have our medical miracles, but wanted to come up with something a little newer for our show. So I came up with this Performance Living. And Tony really liked it, and I want to use when I have my doctor friends come in here because all of these things fit into the performance living. How do you like that title, that performance living kind of title? Do you like that?
I love it. That's what it's all about.
So let's continue talking about biologic technology. I mean, you were kind of getting into the beginning of it. I have a question about getting a referral, the cost of it. I was reading up on this a little bit, and it's still kind of a gray area. But one thing I did read was, and I don't know if this is true across the board, and insurance companies might hate me for saying this, but if you come in for a procedure and you guys do a biologic, it could be covered through your insurance, where typically the new biologic stuff is not covered. I don't understand why insurance companies wouldn't cover this. I mean, but do you have any idea why that?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Here's the problem with, biologics is in the future, and the way the system's set up is sort of tough because you have these companies spend a tremendous amount of money developing these products, got to go through rigorous reviews to get cleared for the market. And that's all an expensive product, and so right now, then you have to have papers, you have to try it and have papers that support that it makes a difference in these problems. For example, put a biologic patch in a rotator cuff to thicken up and make it better. It takes a tremendous amount of time and energy to get the paper to make the product and then to prove that a product makes a difference. And then the insurance company will then approve it. Well, by that point, the cost of that product is more than the hospital gets reimbursed for the entire case. I'll give you an example. Say, an ACL reimburses a hospital $5,000 when you reconstruct an ACL. Well, there's products in there that you can take this and put this around the ACL, but when those products cost $5,000, you just there's nothing to pay for the case or anything else that went into that case because the biologics take up a large part of it. So the question is, how do you get them to the point where they're more cost effective? Some of these are very promising, and I will use some biologics in certain cases that really need it. And the hospital understands this, and they'll take a hit for a case here or there. But when it's not at that point where if you do it for the current system is not exactly perfect, and it's sort of breaking down a little bit as far as the cost of medicine in the United States. And so that's really the biggest obstacle right now is developing these products, getting the support to develop because they can make a difference, and the technology is growing, but finding a way to make them cost effective in the current system that we have.
Well, that's it in a nutshell. I mean, that money talks and bullcrap walks. And so that's all there is to it. And so until they develop the program and they show a return on investment that is beneficial to everybody, that's probably not going to happen. So that's a good answer on that. So that comes up to the next point that you had with the biologics and all of these new technologies. but putting off total joint replacement, which I want to do. You've told me when I've called you, and I mean, this was a few years ago. I know you probably remember this. And I called you and said, Mike, I'm ready to go get that knee replacement. I'm just, because we got back from vacation. It was just crankier than heck. But that was before I got on the Mike Shingles Manage It Better, Tom plan. And I got in my own head and dropped the weight and started doing the stretching that I needed to do and figured out a bunch of different things that worked for me. So that has helped a lot. I mean, I still take a little medication, as you know. I have a prescription that I don't need to take every day, which is great. So anyways, let's go there, because there are ways of putting off total knee replacement or joint replacement. Go ahead, Mike, please.
My philosophy on this, it's amazing as you get older, you really start to experience all the things you're facing. So I think experience and just doing this for a while, you change your opinion every once in a while, and you look at like, hey, this is how I've been doing it for years. Did I give good advice 20 years ago when I didn't have these problems based off my knowledge base, or can I get better advice now? And I think overall my general consensus of total joints and the way I was trained and the way all of us orthopedic surgeons are trained, that's the last option, right? You go metal and plastic when nothing else is working. And then once you start that, you're in that, you're getting revision total joints. And with people living longer and longer, 65 used to be, oh yeah, get up to 65, you'll need one total joint. And then you probably pass away before you use that up. I mean, you've seen it, I've seen it. Active patients coming to my office at 100 plus years old. You know, I got lots of them, you know, and they're playing pickleball and they're in their 90s and they're in their 80s and they look like they're, you know, in their 40s and 50s. And I'd love to sort of deep delve into why that is. You know, why are we seeing such a big difference, you know? But we are, and people are living longer and healthier, more active lives. And you're going to wear down the joints, and then it hurts, and arthritis can hurt and affects people different. I think part of it is the mind part, you know, what am I dealing with? What is that hurt something bad? You know, like, you know, if you have stomach pain and swelling, you might want to make sure you have cancer or something that's bad. Like that's how we're sort of wired, right? Goes to fight and flight. You know, if you get hit with a bow and arrow, you're going to run from it because you don't want to find out what else is next if you're a deer or a human. And ultimately, we automatically have fear and anxiety and stress that all affects you in so many ways when your shoulder hurts or your knee hurts. And when it's unrelenting, that can take over. Well, first is realize what it is. It's arthritis. All right, we know it's, you know, you're 65 and you've got wear changes to your knee and you got arthritis. And some days it's fine, and some days it's not fine. It just didn't occur. This has been going on over a lifetime. And so it's understanding what you're dealing with. And then it's one thing to know what it is and still live through it and push through it. But it's, you know, more important to decrease that pain so you can live through it more comfortably.
You listen to Dr. Mike Shingles here. We're talking performance living orthopedics. I'm going to take this through to break, Mike, because I want to close out this segment. But we will definitely be coming back to talk about more of this, everybody, because putting off the joint replacement, especially as Mike was just saying, he has patients that are 80, 90, 100 plus years old, and we should all be aiming for that. That is the goal. The goal is having the quality of life so you can go do your thing and continue to do your thing and be here for your family. Doc Mike Shingles, my brother from another mother's here, Performance Living Orthopedics. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 3 sponsor, White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need. We are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. Visit us at whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Fourth segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Brock Fletcher. King. Love Brock. Again, full disclosure, Brock Fletcher, with the selling team of Keller Williams Realty, huge Spartan fan, huge Spartan donor, helps a lot of students out there with all kinds of work. I just sent a student over to Brock. As a matter of fact, I met at the gym, and he didn't know what he wanted to do with his degree. He says, "What?" And I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And he said, "Well, really, I want to get into real estate." And I said, "Well, I got the guy for you, Brock Fletcher. He will train up young people till the cows come home, and he's the guy. And he will treat you right. And his team is so solid that you really want to embrace what they can do to offer you advice. All of our guests, all of our sponsors, they're here to offer advice and help us have that quality of life that we want to, especially like Mike Shingles, our guest today. Brock Fletcher with the selling team, all three of our sponsors, trust. You can trust them. Take my word for it. Brock's numbers are, office is 517-853-6408. The cell phone number to Brock's pocket is 517-303-3262. Let me repeat that because that's where you want to go to get a hold of Brock. Text him, leave him a voicemail, whatever. He will get back to you. Tell him you heard it from Tommy. When you say Tommy, they all know. All the radio guys know. They hear Tommy. They know that's me because the radio people call me Tommy. 517-303-3262. Go online to kwsellingteam.com. kwsellingteam.com. Again, sponsors, bottom of our homepage, TomMattShow.com. Works perfect. Everything is there. We have the reality of real estate. We have the Law Dog, where you have these podcasts, and then you have Financial Fitness with Craig. I mean, there's so many episodes out there now. We've been doing this a long time. As I just mentioned to Mike, Doc Mike Shingles, my guest today. This is our 13th season doing this, so we got a lot of reps under our belt, and that's the thing about reps and thing about orthopedics, that when you have too many reps, sometimes things are going to break, and then you're going to have some issues, and you're going to want to know and have a strategy. So, Mike, talking about the strategy, I loved what you said about the mind part when we're on your second topic of putting off total joint replacement. The mind part, to getting your head straight, that we don't want to jump into this too quickly, because I have heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, bro, but it's like if you are losing sleep with a knee issue or a joint issue or a hip issue, that's when you really want to get in and see the docs. And I know for a fact, I have interviewed the Alzheimer's experts across the board. Sleep is our friend, and if we're not sleeping, our quality of life is going down the can. So let's talk about more about the mind part and how we can help people understand living longer. We got to kind of manage things longer. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So what do you think? What are some of the options that, like I have done with my own, say somebody's sedentary. What would you do if they came in, a new patient comes in, they don't really want to have that done, but they really don't know what they need. What would you prescribe to someone who is perhaps sedentary, perhaps a little bit overweight? What are some of the tactics, some of the strategies to managing things better?
Yeah. So regarding arthritis, and since we're sort of talking about the day, I always talk about a scale. Like if we know right now we don't have a cure for arthritis, we know that a total knee replacement is the final option, and it's not a bad option when you get there, but we want to postpone that. You know, there's lots of ways to control pain, and I have it like a scale. How much does it cost, and how much relief do you get? Because we talked about earlier, you can get your DNA, and you may do better with one anti-inflammatory, but your wife may do better with another. That's genetics. We now can sort of look at that. But, you know, I start off with ice. It's very inexpensive. And it's usually people get a fairly significant relief from that. So that would be something that's sort of the gold standard, right? Ice can help with joint pain and knee pain and shoulder pain. And you're not paying a ton of money for it. And you get a good relief. See, let's talk about CBD oil, right? That was hot for a while. That's more expensive. Some people are like, down here, doesn't help me. Well, that's a waste of money for that person. Some people are like, hey, this is the best thing ever. Well, then it can be just different things for different people. And it's just finding those modalities that help you their pain. And so I tell them with ice, you know, make ice easy. You're not, I say lazy. You go out and do things. You get a boom, boom, boom. But most of us, you know, I'm one of those people. It's like, all right, I got to go home and fill up a bag of ice. So go on Amazon, order an ice knee wrap, put it in your freezer, pull it out for 2 seconds, wrap it on your knee. And that little simple thing can make a huge difference for you by just making it easy to ice. The weight is a huge importance. You know, over your lifetime, when you carry that extra weight, you're beating on your knees more. And I do talk, it's a difficult conversation. And since I'm a little overweight, I always joke with my patients, I can relate to this, but it's the only thing that's been shown to decrease the progression of arthritis is keeping your optimal weight. If you keep your optimal weight, you're going to be better off your back, your knees, and these things matter in your 50s, 60s, 70s way more than they did when you were younger and you could tolerate it. And the people that you see that are the worst are those that they've gained the weight and they can't really exercise anymore because their joints are too much. And they're really in a lot of discomfort and pain. It's like, well, what do you do for those patients? Because the meds and a lot of the stuff, they're good, but they have potential complications. So you got to really taper that to that patient.
I like that term, taper to the patient, because again, everybody's different. Doc Mike Shingles is our guest today, everybody, talking performance living orthopedics. You said weight, you said the modalities, things will help. It's the scale of the cost, the ice wrap. I wrote that down, ice knee wrap. I'm going to get one. I'm going to get two of them actually, just because I want to try anything that is, I mean, I don't mind taking the prescription that you have prescribed for me, which I'm very grateful for you to do that. And that Celebrex, that medication works for me. Now, it may not work for everybody. And so have you had many patients like Sandy who went through and did the DNA thing and came back and said, have you seen many of those reports?
Funny, I saw that when I was taking care of the Spartans, and it was brought up to us. It's like, we can DNA all your players and tell them what anti-inflammatory is the best and just different products. It was one of the earlier really like fascinating things about the DNA. And it was a brilliant marketing thing, but it just didn't make sense. I'm not sure if they do that now, but that technology is out there. You know, you mentioned anti-inflammatory medications, and I think and you do well with Celebrex, which is more protective to the gut and less side effects. And you take it, you said, like maybe 4 times a week. I think it's really important that we understand non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, Motrin, ibuprofen, Aleve, Mobic. These meds are wonderful if used properly, and they can make a life difference for patients. But anything in excess can potentially cause problems and side effects, messing with your kidneys, other things. So when you're going to be on it long term, obviously make sure your doc and you are on the same page, and make sure you're checking with your primary care doctor, make sure your labs are checking to make sure that you're not having some of those side effects, mainly being it can mess with your kidneys. You can get GI upset, those kind of GI problems like ulcers. Why is it so important? People, as you know, can you imagine if I told you you're done, you can't take Celebrex anymore? You know, I'm at the point where I take ibuprofen or Motrin before I golf. It makes a huge difference. If I all of a sudden was told I couldn't do that at 54, I got 50 more years, and that's one of the best things to fight inflammation. But you got to be smart about it. And so my little tip on that is always take those medicines, whether it's the Celebrex, which is a COX-2, or the traditional NSAIDs like Motrin, ibuprofen, Aleve, strategically take it. This is going to be a long day. I'm climbing the Eiffel Tower. I'm going to hurt. Take it before you do the activity. It decreases the inflammation. If you decrease it before it starts, it's going to work a ton better. If you take it after you're reacting to it, it does not work as well. So you can take less medicine if you strategically take it and save it for those times when you really need it. And then if you have a day, it's like you said, it's living with a little bit of joint pain, but if you want perfect and no pain, you're not going to make it very long. So you're going to have to learn to live with some of the joint pain so that you're using what you can to get better, but you're strategically doing it.
Love it. I mean, you were reading my mind, because I was going to ask you, we talked about this on the previous episode, everybody, where Mike, and I wasn't aware of this, that taking the medication, like today was my big leg day at the gym. And so I knew going in, and that's where having a little bit of planning, Mike, I'm going to carry this through because we're going to come up on break, but I took Mike's advice. Again, part of my management skill set for my situation is to listen to my doc, and it's been hugely effective. I mean, because when you go in and you do a big leg day like I did today, and you want to get these movements in, you're going to have a little bit of inflammation just because you're doing big lifts. You're doing something with your joints that is going to cause a little bit of, angriness of the joint, I guess you could say. And that's fine. That's what exercise and fitness is all about. It's about putting yourself under stress so that you can get better and bigger and stronger, but putting yourself under stress causes some issues. Again, Doc Mike Shingles is here, Performance Living Orthopedics. We're going to come back. We're going to talk more about living with joint pain. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 4 sponsor, Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3260. 888-888-8262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, watching, doing whatever, if it's on the broadcast or on the podcast. Remember, if you miss any portion of the radio program, you jump in your car and you're picking up like the third segment or something, go to the podcast. You know, podcasts are so ubiquitous now. It's like I just loaded, because we're on all the big carriers. So if you go to Spotify or Apple or Google Play or any of the, we're on all of them. And that's all on our website, tommattshow.com. And if you want to get a hold of us or Sandy and you want to, you have a book that you want to promo, you want us to help you get some pub, drive some interest, do it all the time, give us a shout, send us an email. We got publishers sending us stuff all the time, and just means Tom has to read more books, which is fine. I mean, it's like, as long as they're good. And I just finished one that was just outstanding, and got to get a hold of the publisher for that one. Need to get my brother's email, phone number, all that contact info, and then Mike's got a couple of tips he wants to give to us. Mike, how do you want people to contact you over there at Sparrow, University of Michigan-Sparrow? How would you like to do that?
So our office number is 517-364-8890, and if you call there and you want me specifically, just ask for me. But we've got a bunch of great partners there as well, and they can help get you to where you want to go. My email is michael.shingles. Right now it's at sparrow.org, but it is actually recently changed to at umich, U-M-I-C-H, .sparrow.org. Michael.shingles to start. And so obviously you can email me if you have questions and whatnot.
I will put all of that into the recap, everybody, the show notes, so that if you didn't catch that, you didn't write it down as Mike was giving that to us, that's no problem. I will make sure that that's there, and you can click right on through. That'll be on the website, tommattshow.com. Mike, you had a comment about what we were just discussing about my leg day on Mondays, big lift, doing some big, what I like to think is not big, but not bad, pretty decent, and deadlift stuff, barbell stuff. What did you want to discuss about that?
Well, it comes back to the mind, right? And how important your mind is and how important your mental health and well-being is. So in realizing as an athlete, you may not be able to do this ever, and being smarter as you get older as an athlete, decrease the weight, increase the reps with lifting, that kind of stuff. And you've done that. You've learned like, hey, I want to do this, and you'll be lifting well into your 70s and 80s on that track. So, but that's as much mind as it is body. It's what makes you happy. As you're making your footprint on this, planet, during your time here, that's my philosophy.
No, that's really, really well said. And it's like, we have to keep in touch. And again, the DEXA scan that I had done, and we haven't really talked about that much. I didn't know anything about this DEXA scan, everybody. I want to give Mike a chance to kind of talk about that for a second. What exactly is a DEXA scan? Should people at a certain point in their life, should they include that in a physical, or should they request that, or how does that work?
Let me first say, I don't use that technology very much. We send patients for those. It's obviously much more, well, not obviously, for women, it's a little bit more of a big deal to really check that out because of the estrogen, lack of testosterone, difference between men and women. We see bone quality in females as they get older deteriorate a lot quicker than males. Obviously, walking and active and lifting out can help to strengthen the bones. But you may do all that as a female athlete and still get these problems. And so you should really talk to your family doctor about different medications. And medications, like everything else, are getting better and better. And that DEXA scan is just a way to measure and see where you're at. And so it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, actually.
What I've looked up and what I found, everybody, it's a bone density, it's a body mass index, and it can tie those together, and it can kind of tell you what your muscle mass is like and how you stack up against people in your same age demographic. And frankly, mine was really, really good. I mean, but I kind of expected that, because it's like, put a lot of time into this, because part of my job now, Mike, is being a refired, university employee and doing this job full time is part of my job, and this is for everybody that's out there that's getting maybe close to the retirement zone. Think of your workouts as part of your daily work. If you think of it in your head that way, and it's like it's automatic. It's just like it's a habit that has to happen, because without it, like you were just saying, Mike, your mindset is going to be not as good, not as sharp. You won't get that endorphin rush. And plus, it's the social thing. It's nice to have that social environment that we can all go to. And again, that's going to lead us into our last point of living with joint pain. I mean, there's going to be potentially some joint pain as we grow older and we live longer. These are the things that we need to accept. And again, going back to your management term, manage it. Let's talk about living with joint pain. Some of the strategies that you have, you've already given a whole bunch, but let's circle back and talk about this a little bit, living with it.
Yeah, we talked about ice. We talked about keeping the weight down, modifying activity, thinking big picture, long term. There's a ton of modalities out there. Right now, the biologics are those modalities. They're in that group. How much does it cost? How much benefit are you getting? And I think, I think that if you are dealing with joint pain and you realize how limiting that can be, you'd be willing to pay more for a biologic injection or whatnot, if you could get the results. And so they're working on that. And I think the biologics will have that effect, but it's still tough because right now that's out-of-pocket expense for people. And not everyone's got the money to try something that may or may not work. So more to come on that, because that's still where the future of orthopedics is. But there's things we do know that work, that are covered. Cortisone shots. People get really antsy about cortisone shots. I've heard they're bad. I mean, if you have arthritis, your joints are bad. It's past the point of no return. Cortisone shots, that can make a difference. The problem is they don't work very long for the knee, but sometimes you get that jackpot. But that's the difference between going to Hawaii or maybe going away for Disney World with the family for a week and a half without joint pain, because you can still get that. So those are like vacation shots. I usually look at those like that. And sometimes you can also break that cycle. You were at a point where you're ready for a total joint. You made it through that point. You realize now when you get those belts, this doesn't mean I got to rush off and get a knee replacement. I can reset. I can go back to the basics. And then all of a sudden you realize, wait a second, my knee doesn't hurt. And then you can ride that for another 2-3 years. So it's, just realize that what you're dealing with is arthritis, and it can come and go, and finding the things that work for you, that's the key for it.
And the whole other thing, everybody, is, again, it comes back to everything that you're doing with your nutrition, your sleep, your flexibility, all of these things. And again, you gotta tweak it, manage yourself, depending on what your age is. Get your head right. Get your head right, because it's one of those things that if you go into any of your activities, I don't care if it's gardening, if it's walking. I mean, personally, Mike, my walking is not nearly what it used to be. I do a lot more low impact. Sandy and I, I'll walk a little distance with her, but I'm big on the rower now. I'm big on the rower. I'm big on the recumbent bike. I'm big on the command bike at the gym. Treadmills are okay. Do a little bit of backward walking with that, with some band work. And it's all been helpful. I mean, it's just all these little pieces that you got to kind of discover for yourself. That's why I suggest you not only having a good doctor, but having a good trainer who can empathize with you. If you've got a trainer that's, say you're 50 plus like we are, you probably want to get a trainer that's probably 50 plus, at least 40 plus, because they can empathize with you and make you understand what you need to do. So what do you think about that, Mikey?
No, yeah. I mean, I think it comes down, not that, I mean, shoot, our young doctors or young trainers are wonderful, but as an aging doc in my mid 50s, and it's just the experience of life. You start to feel that those different issues about the body, you can appreciate a lot more. And then you can go back to all your years of experience. Like I used to preach this. I used to think, I love the Mark Twain quote, it's not what you don't know that's going to hurt you. It's what you know that's absolutely certain that just ain't so. when you preach something and you're like, this is the best thing, later on in life, you look back and you're like, whoa, I was a little dogmatic about that. Maybe I should, so you learn from those. Like, well, hopefully you learn if you're open to learning and realizing that, reassessing your views and values. And so, I think an older trainer for that can help, but also sometimes an energetic young trainer, sometimes it just depends on your personality and what's going to get you motivated, I think.
It really does. I'm going to leave it there, Mike, because we're going to wrap this thing. Doc Mike Shingles has been with us today, everybody. Received his undergraduate degree from the University of Michigan, got his DO from Michigan State University. He's been a friend for over 25 years. We've worked so many events together. It's just crazy. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you. If you got questions for Doc Mike, you can either send us a note in our contact box on our website, or you can go to the show notes and you can see Mike's email. Send him an email if you'd like. Again, the phone number over there to the Orthopedics, 517-364-8890. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Thanks again to my friend Doc Mike Shingles, Sandy, Craig, Brock, Jamie White. We'll talk to everybody next weekend. Have a great day, everybody, and a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. And lastly, I want to thank Mitch Anderson, our producer. This is the Tom Matt Show.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Arc of All.